Hey, good morning, everyone. How you doing? I'm feeling pretty good myself, thank you. Ham and eggers. We're going to talk about Kalen DeBoer just a bit, and we're going to talk about the Florida State University Seminoles. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Anyway, would like to acknowledge a mistake I made yesterday. Yeah, I know. I made a mistake. Won't happen again. Promise. That was it. That was my mistake for the year. Yeah, right. Anyway, I said that during my stream of consciousness, I stated that Brian Kelly was the coach at Notre Dame. Of course, he's not. I knew that. I knew that because I watched the game. I watched him for 3 years down in Baton Rouge, right? He's the coach of Louisiana State University Tigers. So no big deal. Let's talk about Kalen DeBoer just a bit. Nick Saban did not know he was going to retire until 10 minutes prior to him having a team meeting. He was going to address the players before they went on their ways for the off season. And he chose at that time, said, you know what, I've been thinking about this. I'm done. And why not? I could spend a 45-minute show citing every accomplishment this guy did at the university. And his replacement was made in a very short time. That was Coach Kalen DeBoer, which says to me that they knew who they wanted. Well, Coach Saban knew who he wanted, and he, along with the athletic director Greg Byrne, who's a great guy, a lot of Alabama's athletic success is due to him. So they chose Kalen DeBoer. I didn't know too much about DeBoer. I just knew that he was the coach of Washington, of course, which was in the national title game. And he took Michael Penix from Indiana, who was a good quarterback, but not great. I couldn't see him as a high draft pick, anything else at Indiana. Being at Indiana might be one of those reasons, of course, but he took Michael Penix, made him to a Heisman candidate. That's all positive news. A little bit more research, dug up some more positive news. His coaching record was 104 wins and 12 defeats. That's right. This is not misinformation. Out of 116 games where he was the head coach at various colleges, out of 16 games, he won 104 times. If you count last week's victory against Western Kentucky, he's now 105 and 12. And we're not counting, this is not including his son's Pee Wee teams. He didn't coach his son's 8-year-old Pee Wee team, right? These are colleges. He's been a winner everywhere he's went to, which makes sense. You don't get to be 104 and 12 if you're not a winner everywhere you go. Some of the coaches that were being considered, or at least thrown about the internet as possibilities, was Steve Sarkisian, who was the offensive coordinator for Alabama for a couple of years, and Dan Lanning, who was also a coach at Alabama. So I did some research, and lo and behold, DeBoer's Washington Huskies beat Dan Lanning's Oregon Ducks 3 times out of 3. They played the Texas Sarkisians twice. They beat them twice. So 5 games against 2 coaches, 2 of the best coaches in the country, and DeBoer's teams won 5 out of 5 games. That's pretty good, don't you think? I think so. And he's done a great job in hiring assistant coaches. It's a new generation of players, a new generation of coaches, and he seems to be and he's making his own mark. He's doing a lot of things that Coach Saban didn't do. Again, it's a generational thing. He's 49 years old. Coach Saban was 72 when he retired. That's quite an age difference. And let me see what. Oh yeah, another candidate, another name that was being thrown out, and was threw in the garbage real quick, was Mike Norvell. There were some people who were saying Mike Norvell should be the coach, or he should be given serious consideration. We see how that turned out, right? And that brings me to topic number 2, which is the Florida State University Seminoles. I told you about these people in my first episode. How I never bought into this team being in the top 10. Never. Despite what all the experts said, the Joel Klatt, the Paul Feinbaum, the Heather Dinich, who's a big ACC homer. Who else we got? We got Kirk Herbstreit. We got Desmond Howard. And no, I just didn't see it. They quit on Norvell last year when they lost their quarterback and they weren't invited into the Final Four. Was it 50 players or whatever, 40 players said, we're not going to play. We're not going to play. To me, that was saying they don't care about the coach. They don't care about the program. If you cared about your coach, you would not leave him out there to be embarrassed. But they didn't. Do you think Alabama's players would have done that to Nick Saban? Ohio State University's players doing it to Ryan Day? And you go on and on about this? No, they never would have done it. Instead, what do? In this case, they being the administration and the coach, complain, moan and groan. Oh, you didn't pick us. How can you pick us? We were undefeated. Alabama lost 1 game. How can you pick us? How can you not pick us? We didn't lose 1 game. We won our conference, and Georgia had 1 loss. Come on, let's be serious about this. Are you going to tell me, is anyone going to seriously tell me that the schedule in the ACC is anywhere as close as it is to the SEC? You're going to pick an undefeated ACC team over 1-loss Alabama? Over 1-loss Georgia? No, I'm sorry. Homie ain't buying it. Homie didn't buy it then. Homie ain't buying it now. And the proof is in the pudding. And the pudding so far consists of being beat by Georgia Tech and being beat by Boston College at home. What they did at home was they embarrassed Chief Seminole, one of the great traditions in college football. You get Chief Seminole. He comes out on this white stallion, and he's dressed in his war gear, and he's got a flaming arrow, a big old spear, I should say. He's got this flaming spear, and he rides to the midfield, and he throws that spear down, and the crowd goes berserk. That's college football. I love that. And you got the Boomer Sooners, where they had that covered wagon. That's great, too. That's what I like about college football. They embarrass the Chief. And they should not have done that. This team is an embarrassment to the Chief. So, what did Florida State do yesterday? Well, of course, they got beat. Well, of course, they didn't cover, I should say. And they got beat. They got trounced. They had 21 yards rushing. That's right, 21 yards rushing. Of course, sacks are counted in rushing stats. But 21 yards rushing. So I guess Boston College has a better defensive line than the previously best defensive line in the country, which, according to many experts, were the Florida State Seminoles. DJ Uiagalelei. I don't want to come down too hard on him. I think he's doing the best he can. But unfortunately, though, the best he can do isn't quite up to it. He should have stayed at Oregon State. He put up good numbers last year. I think he could have put up some good numbers this year and maybe work his way up to a third-round draft pick. Unless, of course, if you're the New York Giants and you're picking a quarterback, you might take him in the first round. Who knows, right? And, I'm sorry, that was with Gettleman. Gettleman's gone. He's long gone, Gettleman. Yeah, Daniel Jones. I'll talk about him sometime in the future. The question now, however, that the administrators and the head coach has to ponder is can they get a refund? Can they get some of the money they spent on this guy back? We'll see what happens. But these type of business decisions that Mike Norvell made is biting him in the ass. And it makes me think that he is under consideration for the first Brian Cashman Don't Know My Ass from My Elbow award. Brian Cashman, for those who don't know, is general manager of the New York Yankees. 10 years for Giancarlo Stanton. 8 years for Carlos Rodon. And the list goes on. But I do got to thank Florida State, though. As I said, I picked Georgia Tech getting 12.5 points. And I picked Boston College getting 16.5 points. And today, me and the wife, we're going to go out to lunch at a new Mexican restaurant. And I want to thank Coach Norvell for that. So as I'm eating my my tacos and my enchiladas, whatever I'm going to have, and just want to thank him. Coach Norvell, these tacos are on you. That's it for now. I made it short and sweet. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. And I'll catch you later.